Kim Tae-ho adjusted his tie for the fifth time as the Earth ship approached the massive space station. After years of distant communications, humanity was finally meeting the Galactic Council face to face. As Earth's top diplomat, Tae-ho felt the weight of 7 billion lives on his shoulders. "We're docking in 5 minutes, Ambassador," said Captain Yoon, her voice steady despite the tension. Tae-ho nodded. "Remember our goals. We need trade agreements and protection treaties. Earth is still new to space travel." Through the viewport, the galactic station gleamed like a metal flower, with curved petals extending from a central hub. Ships of all shapes moved around it. Some looked like smooth eggs, others like spiny sea creatures. Each represented an alien civilization far more advanced than Earth. The Council had invited Earth to join after detecting human radio signals and early space missions. They claimed to welcome all spacefaring species. After months of talks, this meeting would make it official. As the airlock opened, Tae-ho led his small team into the station. The air smelled clean but strange. The gravity felt slightly lighter than Earth's. A tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms greeted them. "Welcome, humans. I am Delegate Moore of the Reception Committee. The Council awaits you." The hallways were filled with aliens of all kinds. Some walked on tentacles, others floated in bubbles of liquid. Many turned to stare at the humans. Tae-ho kept his face calm, though his heart raced. The council chamber was huge, with seats for hundreds of delegates arranged in rising circles. At the center stood a platform where speakers could address everyone. "Representatives of Earth, welcome," said the head counselor, a thin being with silver skin. "We look forward to your membership presentation." Tae-ho stepped onto the platform. He spoke clearly about Earth's cultures, achievements, and hopes for the future. Many delegates seemed interested. Some even applauded when he finished. Then came the questions. "What defenses does your planet have?" asked a reptilian delegate. "What resources can Earth provide to the Council?" asked another. Tae-ho answered as best he could, emphasizing Earth's desire for peaceful exchange. All seemed to be going well until a commotion erupted at the far end of the chamber. A group of large, insect-like aliens stormed in. They had armored exoskeletons and sharp mandibles that clicked as they spoke. The other delegates grew quiet, some shrinking back in their seats. Why was the Vorax Imperium not informed of a new species discovery? Demanded their leader, a massive creature with red markings on its shell. The head counselor's voice wavered. "High Hunter Kraz, this is merely a preliminary meeting. The Vorax would be notified per protocol after you've hidden their location from us." Kraz interrupted. "After you've placed protection status on them." His compound eyes turned to examine Tae-ho. Bipedal, soft exterior, reasonable muscle density. These would make acceptable hunting stock. Tae-ho felt his blood turn cold. Hunting stock. A sympathetic delegate from a furred species leaned toward him. "The Vorax are apex predators. They hunt sentient species for sport on designated planets." "That's barbaric," Tae-ho couldn't stop himself from saying. The chamber went silent. Kraz's mandibles clicked rapidly. "The newcomer objects to our ancient rights. Rights recognized by the very council you seek to join." Kraz moved closer to the platform. Perhaps a demonstration of the natural order would help the humans understand their place. The head counselor raised a hand. "The Vorax hunting rights only apply to non-member species in unprotected systems. Earth has begun the membership process." "Has it been completed?" Kraz asked. "Has the protection treaty been signed?" Silence answered him. Kraz made a sound like grinding stones, a laugh. "Then Earth remains fair game. By our treaty rights, we claim first assessment privileges." Tae-ho stepped forward. "Earth is not hunting grounds for anyone. We came here in peace, but we will defend ourselves." "Bold words for such soft prey," Kraz said. "We accept the challenge. The assessment begins now." As Kraz and his delegation left, the council erupted in whispers. Tae-ho turned to the head counselor, who wouldn't meet his eyes. What just happened? Tahoe demanded. I'm sorry, the counselor said quietly. The Vorax are too powerful to oppose directly. If your species can survive their assessment hunt, then we can offer protection. If not, the counselor left the thought unfinished. Tahoe looked around the chamber, seeing pity in many alien eyes. He understood the terrible truth. In this galaxy, diplomacy only worked for those strong enough to enforce it. He had to warn Earth, and he needed a plan. Park Ji-woo stared at the satellite images on the large screen. Strange ships lurked at the edge of the solar system. As Earth's defense minister, she had seen many worrying things, but nothing like this. How long have they been there? She asked. 3 days, replied General Kang. They're staying just beyond Pluto's orbit. Too far for our missiles, but close enough to watch us. Ji-woo frowned. It had been 2 weeks since Ambassador Kim Tae-ho had sent his urgent message from the Galactic Council. His warning about the Vorax had seemed almost unbelievable. Aliens who hunted other intelligent species for sport. But these ships proved he was right. Any word from the ambassador's return shuttle? She asked. It entered Earth's atmosphere an hour ago. He should be here soon. As if on cue, the door opened. Kim Tae-ho walked in, looking tired. Dark circles ringed his eyes. Behind him came Captain Yoon and 2 security officers. Minister Park, Tae-ho said with a small bow. I wish I brought better news. Tell me everything, Ji-woo said, gesturing to the chairs around the conference table. For the next 20 minutes, Tae-ho explained what had happened at the Galactic Council, how the Vorax had claimed hunting rights over Earth, how the Council had been unwilling to help. These Vorax, General Kang said, how advanced are their weapons? Far beyond ours, Tae-ho replied. Their ships can travel faster than light. Their armor can stop any bullet or missile we have, and they have been hunting other species for thousands of years. The room grew quiet. Outside the window, Seoul's skyscrapers gleamed in the afternoon sun. People walked the streets below, unaware of the danger coming from the stars. So what do we do? Ji-woo finally asked. Hide, fight, beg for mercy. Tae-ho leaned forward. I have a plan. It's dangerous, and many will call it crazy. But I studied the Vorax during my time at the Council. I've learned their weaknesses. What weaknesses could help us against enemies so advanced? Asked General Kang. Their pride, Tae-ho said. The Vorax hunt because it gives them status. The more dangerous the prey, the more honor they gain. But what happens when the prey hunts back? Ji-woo raised an eyebrow. You want us to hunt the hunters? Exactly. Not with technology we don't have, but with something humans have always been good at, adapting and outsmarting stronger enemies. Tae-ho pulled out a data pad and showed them images of the Vorax. Tall, insect-like creatures with powerful limbs and sharp mandibles. They're physically stronger than us. Their technology is better, but they're overconfident. They don't expect prey to fight back in clever ways. That's where we have an advantage. General Kang shook his head. This is suicide. We should use our nuclear weapons. Try to keep them away from Earth. Nuclear weapons won't stop their ships, Tae-ho countered. And even if we destroy a few, more will come. The Vorax Empire is vast. We need to change how they see humans, not as easy prey, but as too dangerous to hunt. Ji-woo studied Tae-ho's face. What exactly do you propose? Let them take a small group of volunteers. People trained to sabotage the Vorax from inside. People who can show the galaxy that humans are predators too, when pushed. Silence filled the room again. Then a new voice spoke from the doorway. I want to hear more about this plan. Everyone turned. Commander Lee Hyun of the Special Forces stood there, arms crossed over his chest. His face showed interest rather than fear. Commander Lee, Ji-woo said, I didn't call for you. No, but my team monitors all communications about potential threats. Lee walked to the table. And if we're talking about sending people to fight aliens on their own ships, You need someone who knows how to train them. Tai-ho nodded slowly. Yes, we would. Are you volunteering, Commander? Li smiled, but his eyes remained serious. First, tell me more about these Voraks. Then we'll see if your crazy plan has any chance of working. Outside, the sun began to set. In the distant reaches of the solar system, the Vorak ships moved closer, preparing for their hunt. The storm was gathering, and Earth had little time to prepare. The military base outside Seoul was alive with activity. In a large underground room, Kim Ta-ho stood before a digital map of the solar system. Red dots showed the positions of Vorak ships, now moving past Neptune's orbit. They're coming faster than we expected, he said to the group gathered around him. We have maybe a week, not two. Minister Park Ji-woo nodded grimly. Then we need to decide now. Do we try your plan or not? The room was filled with top military officers and government officials. Most looked doubtful. General Kang stood up. This plan is too risky, he said loudly. You want us to let these aliens take our people? How do we know they'll even survive to carry out sabotage? Tai-ho remained calm. The Voraks don't kill their prey right away. They collect them, transport them to hunting grounds, and then release them for the hunt. That gives our team time to act. And what exactly would this team do? Asked another officer. Commander Lee Hyun stepped forward. Observe, infiltrate, disrupt, and show the Voraks that humans are not easy prey. His voice was steady and confident. I spent 3 days reviewing all the information Ambassador Kim gathered on Voraks behavior and technology. They're strong, but they have blind spots. Lee pointed to images on a nearby screen. Their ships have security systems, but they're designed to keep prey in, not to detect small tools or weapons hidden in unusual ways. Their social structure is rigid and based on hunting success. If we can make some hunters fail, it creates chaos in their ranks. That still sounds like suicide, General Kang insisted. Maybe, Lee admitted, but I've been talking with potential volunteers, people willing to take that risk to protect Earth. He gestured, and 3 people stepped forward from the back of the room. This is Kang Sunmai, our top technology specialist, Lee said, indicating a woman with short hair and intense eyes. She can hack almost any system given enough time. Sunmai bowed slightly. I studied the Voraks tech specs Ambassador Kim brought back. Their systems are advanced but not unbeatable. This is Yoon Do-hyun, Lee continued, pointing to a tall man with glasses, cultural anthropologist with field experience studying dangerous tribal groups. The Voraks are predators, Do-hyun explained. All predators have instinctive behaviors we can use against them. They're not just aliens, they're animals with patterns we can learn. And this is Choi Han, Lee finished, nodding to a quiet man with a scar on his chin. Former Black Ops. Expert in survival, stealth, and improvised weapons. Han didn't speak, just watched the room with calm, calculating eyes. Minister Park studied each of them. You're all volunteering for this mission, knowing you might not return. Yes, they answered together. Tai-ho looked at the officials around the table. This is our best chance, not to defeat the Voraks completely. We can't do that yet, but to make them reconsider hunting humans. What exactly is your full plan? Minister Park asked. Tai-ho touched the screen, bringing up new images. We let the Voraks take our volunteers in a seemingly easy capture. The team will carry hidden tools and weapons that look primitive but are actually advanced. Once aboard the Vorak ships, they'll gather intelligence, disrupt their hunting operations, and most importantly, they'll turn the hunt against the hunters. You mean kill the aliens? Someone asked. Some, yes, Tai-ho said honestly. But more importantly, they'll make the Voraks fear humans. Predators don't hunt prey they fear. They avoid it. Commander Lee nodded. We need to change how the Voraks see humans. Not as food, but as a threat. The room fell silent. General Kang still looked unconvinced, but others were nodding slowly. Minister Park stood up. This plan is dangerous and might fail, but I see no better options. She looked at the volunteers. How soon can your team be ready? 3 days, Commander Lee said. We've already started preparing. Then do it, she ordered. And may whatever gods exist in this universe watch over you all. Outside, the stars shone in the night sky. Somewhere among them, the Voraks approached, hungry for the hunt. They had no idea their prey was preparing to fight back. The underground training facility buzzed with activity. For 3 days straight, the volunteer team had been working without much rest. In one corner, Choi Han taught the others how to make weapons from everyday items. Even a pen can kill if you know where to strike, he explained, demonstrating a quick jabbing motion. The Voraks have tough outer shells, but Ambassador Kim's reports show soft spots where their limbs connect. Nearby, Kang Sunmei studied alien technology diagrams. Her fingers flew over a computer keyboard as she developed small programs that could interfere with Vorak systems. Their security is designed to keep big threats out, she said to Commander Lee. Not tiny data packets that look like system updates. Yoon Do-hyun sat cross-legged on the floor, watching videos of Vorak's movements that Taeho had secretly recorded at the Galactic Council. See how they click their mandibles before making decisions, he pointed out. And how the lower-ranked ones never look directly at the leaders. These are instinctive behaviors we can use. Commander Lee nodded, impressed by his team's progress. But time was running short. The Vorak ships had passed Mars orbit yesterday. In another section of the base, scientists worked with Taeho to create special equipment. They looked simple, like belts, watches, and small tools, but contained advanced technology. These tracking devices will be implanted under your skin, a doctor explained to the volunteers. They look like normal tissue on scans, but will send signals back to Earth. And these communicators can be hidden in teeth fillings, added another scientist. They're activated by a specific pattern of jaw movements. As evening approached, Minister Park called a meeting with the team and their families. The large conference room was filled with emotion as parents, spouses, and children came to say what might be their final goodbyes. Sun Lai hugged her younger brother tightly. Take care of Mom, she whispered. Tell her I'm doing this for everyone. Do-hyun knelt before his 5-year-old daughter. Daddy has to go away for a while, he said, his voice breaking slightly. Be good for Grandma, okay? Even the usually stoic Han seemed affected as he spoke quietly with his elderly father. Commander Lee watched them all, feeling the weight of what he was asking these people to do. He approached Taeho, who stood apart from the others. Are you sure this will work? Lee asked quietly. Taeho's eyes were tired but determined. No, I'm not sure. But I am sure that doing nothing means Earth becomes just another hunting ground. The trackers are ready, Lee said. The implant surgeries begin tonight. We'll be set for capture in 36 hours. Taeho nodded. The astronomers confirm the Voraks will reach Earth orbit tomorrow. Their usual pattern is to observe for a day, then begin collecting specimens. Specimens, Lee repeated with disgust. That's all we are to them. For now, Taeho said. Soon they'll learn different. Later that night, after the surgeries were complete, the team gathered one last time. Their hidden trackers were now safely implanted, along with tiny tools and data chips sewn into their clothing or concealed inside small scars. Minister Park addressed them formally. What you are about to do goes beyond duty. It is sacrifice in its purest form. If you succeed, humanity will never forget your courage. Commander Lee stepped forward. Our mission has 3 parts. First, gather intelligence about Vorak ships and weapons. Second, disrupt their hunting operations however possible. Third, teach them that humans are not easy prey. He looked at each team member. Remember your training. Work together. And no matter what happens, show these aliens that humans are not to be underestimated. Do-hyun raised his hand slightly. What if some of us don't make it back? A heavy silence fell over the room. It was Han who finally answered. "Then those who remain fight harder," he said simply. "One human can be killed, but the idea that humans are dangerous, that can live forever." Outside the base, the night sky was clear. Among the stars, Vorax ships prepared to enter Earth orbit. They expected easy hunting. They would find something very different. The morning sky over Seoul turned strange as 5 massive ships entered Earth's atmosphere. They were shaped like arrowheads, black and sleek, with glowing red lines running along their sides. People stopped in the streets to stare up in fear and wonder. In a small village 50 miles from the city, Commander Lee and his team waited. They had chosen this location carefully, remote enough to seem like an easy target, but close to mountains where other soldiers hid with monitoring equipment. "They're starting their scan," Sun Mai said, looking at a small device in her hand. Just like Ambassador Kim predicted. The team wore simple clothes, farmers and villagers, nothing to suggest they were soldiers. Their hidden implants and tools were undetectable to most scanners. They sat in the village square, pretending to be ordinary people afraid of the strange ships. "Remember," Lee told them quietly, "act scared but not too panicked. They want their prey frightened but not broken." Do-hyun nodded. "Predators enjoy the chase. If we seem too weak, they might ignore us for more challenging targets." A low humming filled the air. One of the Vorax ships moved directly over the village. A bright light beamed down, sweeping across the buildings and people. "Scanning for weapons," Sun Mai whispered. "Stay calm." Han kept his face neutral, though his eyes tracked the ship's movements. Here comes the collection beam. A wider, brighter light suddenly engulfed the square. Lee felt a strange tingling across his skin. Then an invisible force lifted him off the ground. Around him, the other team members also floated upward. They didn't fight it. That was part of the plan. The light pulled them up toward an opening in the bottom of the ship. As they entered, Lee caught his last glimpse of Earth. In the distance, mountains where human observers watched and recorded everything. Their data would help Earth prepare for whatever came next. Inside the ship, the light dropped them onto a cold metal floor. They were in a large chamber with dozens of clear cells along the walls. Some already contained humans, real villagers who had been taken before the team arrived. Lee felt a pang of guilt. These people were not volunteers, but innocent victims. "Move along, pray." The voice was harsh and clicking, speaking accented but understandable English. For the first time, the team saw a Vorax up close. The alien stood over 7 feet tall, with a body like a praying mantis, but thicker, covered in dark green-black armor. Its head had compound eyes that gleamed in the dim light, and large mandibles that clicked when it spoke. 4 arms ended in clawed hands, 2 holding some kind of weapon. More Vorax appeared, herding the captured humans into the cells. The team allowed themselves to be separated, as planned. Each would work in different areas of the ship. From her cell, Sun Mai carefully observed the control panels near the guards. Her eyes missed nothing: the sequence of lights, the patterns of buttons the Vorax pressed. Already her mind was mapping the system. Do-hyun watched how the Vorax interacted with each other. He noticed how smaller ones bowed their heads to larger ones, how certain markings on their shells seemed to indicate rank. Han examined the cell door mechanism, his trained eyes finding weaknesses in the design. Not enough to escape now, but knowledge to use later. Commander Lee found himself in a cell with 2 real villagers, an old man and a young woman. They looked at him with terrified eyes. "What will they do to us?" the woman asked, her voice shaking. Lee wanted to tell them the truth, to explain the plan, but he couldn't risk it. "Stay strong," he said instead. "Help will come." A loud announcement echoed through the chamber in the clicking Vorax language. The guards seemed excited, mandibles clicking rapidly. "What's happening?" the old man asked. Lee didn't answer, but he knew. From Taiho's intelligence, he recognized the announcement. The Vorax were preparing for their favorite sport. The hunt would begin soon. In her cell, Sun Mai activated her hidden communicator with a specific pattern of jaw movements. The signal would be weak, but enough to send one message back to Earth. We are inside. Phase 1 complete. 3 days passed on the Vorax ship. The human captives were kept in their cells but given food and water. The team used this time well, each member working on their part of the plan. Yoon Do-hyun watched the Vorax guards carefully. His trained eye noticed things others might miss. The way certain Vorax with red shell markings were treated better than those with plain shells. How some ate first while others waited. He began to understand their social order. In her cell, Kang Sun Mai pretended to be weak and scared. When guards passed, she would shrink back, but her eyes never stopped observing the control panels and technology around her. At night, when the ship was quieter, she would whisper her findings into her hidden communicator. Their main computer system uses light-based technology, she reported, and they don't guard it well because they think we're too primitive to understand it. Choi Han spent his time studying the Vorax themselves, how they moved, where their armor seemed thickest, and where it might be weak. He noticed they had poor vision to the sides but excellent hearing. On the 4th day, the captives were taken from their cells to a larger room. Commander Lee managed to position himself near Do-hyun. "What have you learned?" Lee whispered. "They hunt for status, not food." Do-hyun replied quietly. "The more dangerous the prey, the more honor they gain. The guards keep talking about something called the first hunt that's happening soon." Across the room, a Vorax with elaborate shell markings entered. The other Vorax lowered their heads and clicked their mandibles rapidly. Even Lee could tell this was someone important. "That's their leader," Do-hyun whispered. "They call him High Hunter Kraz." Kraz walked among the humans, studying them with his compound eyes. He stopped in front of a muscular man who glared back at him defiantly. "This one has spirit," Kraz said in his clicking voice. "He will make good sport." Another Vorax approached Kraz and spoke in their language. Do-hyun listened carefully. He had been learning their speech patterns. "They're talking about hunting grounds," he told Lee. "A moon orbiting a gas giant. They'll take us there for the hunt." Lee nodded slightly. This matched what Taeho had told them. It was all going according to plan so far. Kraz noticed Do-hyun and Lee whispering. He strode over to them, towering above. "You speak together like you planned something," Kraz said. "Good. Pray that plans is more interesting to hunt." Lee kept his face calm. "We just want to know why you're doing this." Kraz's mandibles clicked in what seemed like amusement. "Why does any hunter hunt? For glory? For status? The galaxy knows the Vorax as the greatest hunters. Each hunt brings honor to our clan. And you just take people from their homes for this?" Lee asked, letting anger show in his voice. "Prey has no rights," Kraz said simply. "This is the natural order. Strong hunt, weak are hunted." Han, who stood nearby, suddenly spoke up. "Not all prey is weak." His voice was low but clear. The room went silent. Vorax guards turned to stare at him. Kraz moved closer to Han, studying him. "You challenge me, small prey?" Kraz asked, his voice dangerous. Han looked directly at the Vorax leader. "I simply state a fact. On Earth, many prey animals can kill predators if cornered." Kraz made a grinding sound, a laugh. "Then the hunt will be interesting. I will take this one myself." As Kraz walked away, Lee gave Han a warning look. It was too soon to provoke the Vorax. But Han had a small smile on his face. "What are you doing?" Lee whispered. "Creating division," Han replied quietly. "Kraz has claimed me as his personal prey. If I kill him instead, it will throw their whole hierarchy into chaos." Do-hyun nodded in understanding. In predator societies, leaders must maintain their dominance. If Kraz fails against his chosen prey. "Exactly," Han said. "And while they're dealing with that chaos, Sun Mai will have her chance to access their systems." On the other side of the room, Sun Mai caught Lee's eye and made a tiny motion with her hand. "Success," She had managed to plant one of her hidden devices near a control panel. The first part of their plan was working. They were learning the enemy's weaknesses, and soon they would exploit them. The hunters had no idea that their prey was already hunting them. The moon was cold and strange. It had enough air to breathe, but the sky above was purple, with a massive gas giant taking up half the view. The Vorax had brought the humans here and released them in small groups across the rocky landscape. Commander Lee, Sun Mei, and 3 villagers had been dropped in a valley with steep cliffs on both sides. The Vorax guard had given them a small pack with basic supplies and a 10-minute head start before the hunters would follow. This way, Lee told the frightened villagers, we need to find the others. They climbed up a narrow path along the cliff face. At the top, Lee took out a small metal piece from inside his shoe. It looked like a simple button, but when he pressed it, it beeped softly. What is that? Asked one of the villagers, a young woman. A tracker, Lee explained. It will help us find my friends. The beeping grew stronger as they moved north. After an hour of walking, they found Han and 2 more villagers hiding in a cave. Do-hyun? Lee asked. Separate drop zone, Han replied. But he has a tracker too. He'll find us. The small group continued moving, always checking for signs of the Vorax hunters. By nightfall, they had found Do-hyun and 4 more villagers. They made camp in a sheltered spot between large rocks. Have you sent the signal? Lee asked Sun Mei. She nodded. When they dropped us off, I activated the device I planted on their ship. It's sending data back to Earth about their weapons and defenses. Good. Now for Phase 2. Lee gathered everyone close. The Vorax expect us to run and hide. That's what prey does. But we're not going to do that. He took out the small pack the Vorax had given them. Inside were basic tools, a knife, rope, and fire starter. They give these to make the hunt more interesting. Lee explained, but we'll use them differently. Han pulled out several small metal objects hidden in his clothing. These look like rocks, but they're actually compact explosives. I've been collecting materials from the ship and making these for days. Do-hyun showed the villagers how to make simple traps using the rope and surrounding rocks. The Vorax are heavy. If we make trip lines here and here, they'll fall hard. Through the night, they worked. By morning, they had set traps around their camp and prepared weapons from rocks and sticks. Then they did something no prey was supposed to do. They lit a large fire. Won't that bring the hunters right to us? A frightened villager asked. Yes, Lee said. That's exactly what we want. 2 hours later, they heard the first sounds of approaching Vorax. Clicking mandibles and heavy footsteps moving through the rocks below. Everyone remember the plan, Lee whispered. When the traps are sprung, run to your positions. 3 Vorax hunters appeared on the ridge below. They carried long spear-like weapons and wore minimal armor. This was sport for them, not war. They clicked to each other in excitement when they saw the fire and human footprints. The first Vorax moved forward confidently, not bothering to check for traps. His foot caught the hidden trip line, and he tumbled forward with a surprised screech. As he fell, Han's hidden explosive detonated, sending sharp rock fragments into the Vorax's softer joints. The wounded Vorax screamed in pain and surprise. The other 2 rushed forward to help, directly into more traps. One was caught in a net of strong vines that Do-hyun had discovered and tested for strength. The other stepped onto loose rocks that gave way, sending him sliding down a steep slope. Now, Lee shouted. The humans emerged from hiding, not running away as expected, but charging toward the disoriented hunters. Han led the attack on the wounded Vorax, driving a sharpened stake into the gap between its head and body armor. The alien made a horrible sound, then went still. The Vorax caught in the vine net struggled and called out in its language. Do-hyun understood enough to know it was calling for help. Perfect. More will come, he told Lee. The hunt leader will want to know what happened. Lee nodded. Good. Let them come. Let them all see what happens when they hunt humans. On a ridge above them, hidden among rocks, Sun Mai activated her communicator. "First hunter down," she reported. "The message is being delivered." Across the hunting grounds, other human groups were doing the same, setting traps, fighting back, turning the hunt upside down. For the first time in their history, the Voraks were learning what it felt like to be prey. Word spread quickly among the Voraks hunters. 3 of their kind dead, 5 more wounded. Never before had prey fought back so effectively. High Hunter Kraz called his hunting leaders together on their command ship orbiting the moon. "These humans are not behaving as prey should," he clicked angrily. "They set traps. They attack instead of run. They hunt us. We should use heavy weapons," suggested one hunter. "End this quickly." "No." Kraz slammed his clawed hand down. "That would bring no honor. We will hunt them properly, but with more caution." Unknown to the Voraks, a small device hidden near their meeting room was sending every word back to the human team. Sun Mai listened through her hidden communicator as she, Li, and Han moved through the rocky hills of the hunting ground. "Kraz is sending all hunters back out in larger groups," she told the others. "They're angry and confused." "Good," Han said with a grim smile. "Angry hunters make mistakes." The team had split their larger group of humans into 3 smaller units, each led by one team member. Du Hyun was leading his group to higher ground, setting more traps along the way. "We need to get to their command ship," Li said. "That was always the final goal." Sun Li nodded. "There's a transport shuttle that returns to the main ship every 6 hours to bring supplies. It lands 2 miles north of here." "Can we capture it?" Han asked. "Not easily," Sun Mai admitted. "But I don't think we need to. I've been studying their security systems. The shuttles have automatic docking procedures. If we can hide aboard one, we can reach the command ship," Li finished. "Good work. Let's move." As they traveled north, they saw a Voraks hunting party in the distance. 6 hunters moving together, weapons ready. The humans ducked behind rocks, watching. "They're being more careful now," Han observed. "No more rushing into traps." "Then we need a different approach," Li said. "Sun Mai, can you use that device you made from the communicator parts?" She pulled out what looked like a small stone. "It will mimic human heat signatures, make them think we're hiding over there." She pointed to a cluster of rocks half a mile away. Li nodded. "Set it up. Han, get ready to move when they take the bait." Sun Mai activated the device and tossed it. The Voraks hunters soon changed direction, moving cautiously toward the false heat signature. Once they were out of sight, the 3 humans rushed toward the shuttle landing area. They reached a ridge overlooking the small flat area where the shuttle would land. 2 Voraks guards stood watch. Han studied them carefully. "I can take them," he said, "but we'll need to be quick before they signal the others." Li checked his makeshift weapons. "On my signal." The attack was swift and silent. Han's thrown rock hit one guard in the head, stunning it. Li and Sun Mai rushed the second guard together, Li distracting it while Sun Mai struck at the weak joint in its neck with a sharpened metal piece. Both Voraks went down without raising an alarm. "The shuttle comes in 20 minutes, Sun Mai said, checking the small device she had made from parts stolen on the Vorak ship. "What about Du Hyun and the others?" Li asked. "They know the plan," Han reminded him. "Du Hyun will keep causing chaos on the ground. That's his part." Across the hunting grounds, Du Hyun was doing exactly that. His group had set up an ambush that had already claimed another Voraks hunter. The alien's body was displayed prominently on a rocky outcrop, a message to the other hunters that the prey had become predators. The shuttle appeared in the purple sky, descending toward the landing area. The 3 humans hid among supplies waiting to be loaded. "Once we're aboard the command ship," Li whispered, "Sun Mai will hack their systems. Han will create a diversion. I'll find Kraz." "Why Kraz specifically?" Sun Mai asked. "Because in predator societies, when the alpha falls, everything changes, Lee explained. Ambassador Kim was very clear about that. We don't just need to kill some hunters. We need to show the entire Vorax species that humans are too dangerous to hunt. The shuttle touched down, its engines humming. 2 Vorax crew members began loading supplies, not noticing the humans hidden among the cargo. For Earth, Lee whispered as they were unwittingly loaded onto the shuttle. Soon they would be aboard the command ship, ready to deliver humanity's message to the stars. Humans are not prey. The command ship of the Vorax hunting fleet was massive. From the supply bay where they hid, Lee, Sunmai, and Han could see long corridors stretching in every direction. Vorax crew members moved about with purpose, many looking agitated. They're worried, Sunmai whispered, listening through her small translator device. News from the hunting grounds has them confused. Prey isn't supposed to hunt back. They had studied the ship layouts using the data Sunmai had collected. Each knew where to go. With quick, silent gestures of good luck, they separated into the shadowy corridors of the alien vessel. Sun Li moved carefully toward the ship's heart. Her goal was the main computer system. If she could access it, she could send the Vorax ship data back to Earth, giving humans the knowledge to defend against future hunts. She used her small devices to create false readings on the Vorax sensors, making guards look in the wrong places as she passed. Han headed for the ship's power systems. The tools hidden in his clothes were now assembled into more dangerous weapons. He planted small explosives at key points, not to destroy the ship, but to create chaos when needed. His face showed no emotion, but his eyes were focused and determined. Commander Lee took the most dangerous path, straight toward the command deck, where High Hunter Kraz would be. He carried the makeshift spear they had created from Vorax weapons taken during the hunt. It seemed fitting that Kraz should face a weapon of his own kind. On Earth, Minister Park and Ambassador Taeho watched data streaming in from the human team's hidden devices. The command center was filled with tension as technicians worked to process the information about Vorax ships, weapons, and weaknesses. "They've done it," Taeho said with quiet amazement. "They've turned everything around." Park nodded. "Now we need to make sure the galaxy hears about it. Are the communications ready?" "Yes. The moment we receive Sun's final data package, we'll broadcast to every frequency the Galactic Council uses. Every species will see what happens when the Vorax hunt humans." Back on the Vorax ship, Sunmai reached the computer core. Using techniques she had developed by watching the aliens, she bypassed security and connected her device to their system. Data began flowing immediately back to Earth. "I'm in," she whispered into her communicator. "Sending everything now." Han heard her message and began triggering his explosives, not big enough to threaten the ship, but perfectly placed to cut power to security systems and create confusion. Alarms blared as Vorax rushed to respond to multiple emergencies. Lee used the distraction to reach the command deck. As the doors slid open, he saw Kraz standing at a viewing screen, watching reports of the chaos spreading through his ship. The High Hunter turned, his compound eyes widening at the sight of a human holding a Vorax weapon. "Impossible," Kraz clicked. "How did Prey get here?" "That's your mistake," Lee said calmly. "Thinking we are prey." Kraz reached for his weapon, but Lee was faster. The makeshift spear struck the Vorax leader in his unarmored side. Kraz screamed in pain and rage. On Earth, Lee continued, "There's a saying, the most dangerous animal is one that has nothing to lose. You took our people. You treated us like animals to be hunted. You left us nothing to lose." Other Vorax officers entered the command deck, freezing at the sight of their wounded leader facing a single human. At that moment, the main screen flickered. Sunmai had taken control of the ship's communications. The screen showed footage from the hunting grounds, Vorax hunters caught in human traps, Vorax fleeing from human attackers, the bodies of fallen hunters displayed as warnings. "This footage is being sent to every species in the galaxy," Lee told the stunned Vorax. "Your reputation as ultimate predators ends today." Kraz struggled to stand. "Kill this human," he ordered. But the other Voraks hesitated. One stepped forward, not toward Lee, but toward Kraz. "The hunt has failed," the new Voraks said. "This prey has proven too dangerous. The old ways say we must recognize worthy opponents." 1 month later, Ambassador Kim Taho stood again before the Galactic Council. This time, he was not a supplicant, but a respected representative. The footage of humans hunting the hunters had spread throughout the galaxy, changing everything. "Earth accepts the protection treaty," Taho announced, "and we look forward to building new alliances." Beside him stood Sun Mai, Han, Lee, and Du Hyun, heroes who had returned to tell their story. In the council chamber, representatives from other formerly hunted species approached them with gratitude and offers of friendship. Humans had proven themselves not as prey, but as equals in the stars, and the Voraks would never hunt Earth again.